Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 60 of Tales of Tamriel, a Dungeon Crawler Network production. I am Aggelos, your host, and with me this afternoon, we got, I guess, two Brits from across the pond. This is the show. It's Ag and two Brits. It's going to be great. First off, man running the stream and trying to keep his dungeon group together, that would be Asteldian. How are you, good sir?
Doing good. The stream not so well. Good start to the instance. The place has done the usual ping rate lag out, which has been happening on instance a lot. So the mobs all ran straight past us and ignored us.
Oh, that's always nice.
Bit insulting.
Apparently, you're not threatening enough to cause them to stop.
Yeah, apparently not.
All right. And also joining us, frequent guest host at this point. I think, we may just have to tie him down and keep him here forever. That would be Nate. How are you today, good sir?
I'm full of phlegm, but full of happiness.
Me too. It's springtime in the States, so therefore allergy season has started.
Yeah. I've spent a week feeling bad, but we have a really long holiday weekend this week, so that's given me enough time to really grind through quite a lot of Grahtwood, in fact.
Okay.
More on that later.
More on that later, indeed. All right. Well, we got a fun show for you guys, but first off, before we get into that, I need to let everyone know that this show has been brought to you, in part, by awesome fans just like you guys and our newest Patreon supporter, Carly. So Carly, thank you so much for helping us out. It's very, very much appreciated, and you guys rock. If you're not currently supporting the Dungeon Crawler Network and wish to help out, consider donating or becoming a patron of ours on our Patreon page. You can find the links to both of these on dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. If you're unable to support us financially but still wish to support us, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channels, leave us a review on iTunes, and consider telling a friend about us. Those help us more than almost anything, really. Helps us get exposure, helps us bring what we love to do to you. Hey, that rhymed, and that was not even planned. So, we're going to roll right on into the game news this week. First off on game news, Tales of the Dead 4. That's right. Another one of their contests has started, the Tales of the Dead competition. Now, it's already over, unfortunately, and it really makes me a little upset because, we're here doing this show, and these things only last like a week, I think it is. They announce it on Monday, and they pick a winner on Friday, which is kind of neat, but I'm not really creative. I don't think I could figure out a story in that amount of time. Nate, how about you?
Yeah, I kind of feel like I should be doing these. I'm a big fan of... Well, I'm a big fan of some of these. Sometimes some of the fan fiction that I've seen is so dire that I kind of wish to unsee it. But these particular ones, I think, they have a lot of fun that you can have with them. I want to. I'm still working, actually, on my alternative lusty Argonian maid, who's not an Argonian, or indeed a maid. So at some point, I will finish that, and we will have a dramatic reading, perhaps.
Excellent. I'm very excited about that. Very excited.
Yeah.
When it comes to these kind of things, I know I'm not creative, and I'm not speaking for anyone else because I know I can't do any better. But Asteldian, how about you?
So I completely lost that. I was busy lagging out. What was that?
Have you seen or considered doing the Tales of the Dead competition?
Oh no, I'm not creative enough for that. I don't do writing in creative ways.
I used to do a lot of written role play back in the day, like on forums and stuff like that. That used to be kind of my thing. But I'm not very good at writing any longer. And I've seen that this is not my forte, so I therefore stay away from it. But,
there's a way to get around that sometimes. It's by giving yourself a quirk. Because if you try and just keep everything exactly as everyone expects it, then there's more room for you to sort of feel really out of place or like you're trying too hard. If you give yourself a quirk, like a character who only speaks in like monosyllabic words, or a character who can only yell answers, then you're sort of giving yourself a quirk that allows you to be slightly removed from the possibility of extreme criticism, which can happen.
Right.
And that can work quite well. And I actually originally got that idea years and years ago from a character in Final Fantasy VIII, who for the majority of the game would only yell words like rage and
I know who that is.
confused and things like that. And it was a really great, it was either Rajin or Fusion, I think it was.
The female character, yeah.
The female one, Fusion, I think her name was. And I was like, that is a great way to hold a conversation. And ever since then, I thought that's a good way to do that.
I'm kind of off topic, but doesn't she at the very end like start becoming insanely like
awesome?
Awesome, yeah. And she does like a huge like Martin Luther King speech at the end.
Yep, right at the end, all in lower caps. All in lower caps. And one of my large tattoos is from Final Fantasy VIII, so I hold that game very dear to my aortic pump.
Oh no, I agree wholeheartedly. That was actually one of the first RPGs I ever played, so I understand exactly. Nice. I'm actually kind of looking at these ones. I like that they do these because we have so many creative people in this community, like insanely creative. I do not count myself among this. Podcasting is not that hard, but it's like we have so many creative people, and we're actually going to talk about that in a little bit, which would have been a perfect segue for the next little section, but I'm not going to do that yet. I like that they try to reward us. Like this little competition, what are they rewarded here? Another $25 gift card to their store. Yeah,
gift cards. Yeah, for the expensive store. So I pre-ordered the Tales of Tamriel book,
which
not
I'm still
affiliated
upset about.
Yeah. The book on Amazon, where it was actually cheaper because you get shafted for shipping internationally. It's a crazy amount of money for shipping.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is. I had to do that for two of our Patreon supporters, whom I love dearly. You guys rock. But the two people who did the one of the rewards both lived in Australia, so I had to ship to Australia.
Man, that is devotion.
Yeah, they were wonderful people, but I'm like, it couldn't have been down the street.
But no, I think you're right about the creativity, and there's so much work here. I mean, I'm always keen to see some alternative creations. You see a lot of lore and fan fiction. You see a lot of digital artwork. You see occasional tattoos, but I'm really interested in seeing alternatives. You know, things like cosplay, things like what else? I mean, even animations or short fiction live action stuff. You know, IRL role play, that kind of thing. I think those sorts of things, I'd love to see more of those in what they present, because they are out there. And I think that there's an opportunity for them to be a little bit less just words and pictures and a bit more kind of creative.
It is so good. Asteldian, if you have anything you'd like to say, I know you're running a dungeon at the moment. You can just speak right up. I don't want to be like a solo conversation here between Nate and I, but we're having fun with this. So
yeah, so it's fine. I'm standing here staring at a screen there's just no activity going on, and we're trying to fight in a dungeon where nothing's actually working or reacting. It takes me about 10 seconds before I cast a spell and it works. So
you sound perfect on our side in terms of latency.
I got no lag. It's been happening quite a lot on the EU servers. It's a problem with the instant zones. You actually go in there and everyone lags out. Even the poor mobs are sitting there going, what the hell's going on? And that's what's going on now. So we may have to abandon this instance and try our luck.
That's a shame. Understandable. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So. Let's go ahead and segue right into the next little bit, because this is something that I did want to talk about since we were talking about art and whatnot. The next little bit is the Tamriel Chronicle issue number 82. Now, last week, this is something that I wish was here last week because I saw it on the ESO Live. The amount of work that the people did and the quality of the art this week is amazing. Like, absolutely amazing. I mean, everyone who can draw does such good work. I'm not going to say that because if you saw my drawings, they look like a mentally challenged 3-year-old drew them.
Dude, don't worry. Mine look like a mentally challenged 3-year-old who has no hands.
Well, yeah, there you go. It's like, you want to draw like a character? Do you like stick figures? Yeah, that's me right there. So you understand this. I have no skill in this. So everyone who can draw, I envy you immensely. But this week in particular, the amount of drawing, like these guys are amazing, the work that they've done. The one I wanted to show Thais last week was the one they showed the Gwar love with them hugging the Gwar because she was talking about while riding her Gwar going, I wish I could just bend over and hug my Gwar. And it made me think of that piece of art. Did you guys see this?
I have seen these, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, these are quite good. I like the little Argonian sitting on the edge of the cliff.
Me too.
He's pretty neat. He's just contemplative. He actually looks like he's sitting in Skyrim.
It does look a little bit like that, or at least in Cyrodiil looking up towards Skyrim.
Yeah, there's an anime, a rather young-looking anime, what I assume is a wood elf, an archer as well. That's interesting. And we've got, what else have we got down here? We've got Bosma. We've got there's a whole range, An excellent loot player in what's Strosmakai, is that? A lootist.
Yes. Stros Mackay. I really like was it Karnas Greenshade or whatever? The art of the Bosmeri female elf.
Yes.
Oh my god. It's I love looking at art. Obviously, for anyone who knows me, other than Elder Scrolls is not my favorite fictional universe. My favorite, obviously, is Middle Earth. I've been in love with Middle Earth forever. There's been so many amazing artists, and I love looking at a lot of their work. So staring at artwork has been something that has been near and dear to me for a very long time. Because before gaming and whatnot, that's what I did. I just read the Silmarillion and then look up online of all these people who drew different things about it. And it's awesome. So this week was amazing. Just the amount of work that was done. This was probably one of my favorite to date.
Have you ever been on their Tumblr that they have? There's an official Elder Scrolls Online Tumblr that they just post fan art on, and there are some pretty good. There's some pretty bad ones on there as well, but there are some really good. There's a lot on there that are a little bit more conceptual at times. They have very different art styles, and there's one I'm just looking at now that's got like a handwritten letter. It looks like medieval writing with a dragon on it.
Okay.
So they don't tend to post those on the main site, but every now and again, it's worth having a look at the. I think it's just the elderscrollsonline.tumblr.com, and they have some really, really great ones. They have some cartoons in there as well, like comic strips and all sorts. It's worth a browse.
I actually did not even know that existed. So
yeah, it's a hidden gem.
That is. I'm gonna have to follow them like now. That's awesome.
That's my gift to you all today.
That's great. I actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that and I'm going to link it in the show notes for anyone who didn't know it existed, like myself, and definitely want people to see that. So, Asteldian, how's the dungeon group going? Has the lag subsided? No. I think you're muted, good sir, if you're talking.
I had double mute on. That was extra cunning. Yeah, we've left Darkshade. That place was hopeless. It was a problem earlier today as well. So we're accepting that it's a bad state. So we're going to go try Fungal instead.
Okay. All right. Very nice. All right. Fungal Grotto. I was running that earlier this week, which we'll talk about more later. All right. Moving on to the next little bit of news, the Battlemaster Corner, the Thunderous Protector. Now, this one I like. Normally I don't like these Battlemaster corners because I go to Tamriel Foundry and look at builds when I want to look at builds, because there's a lot more theory crafting behind it. A lot of the builds kind of seem, like what someone would throw together just to play around with, which is all good. But the type of gameplay that I like, which is, high-end PvE content, most builds wouldn't work. But I actually really like this one because I like the idea of a sorcerer tank. I always I always pick on Thais. Like, she's always one of those, if I'm playing a sorcerer, I obviously want to be a spellcaster, right? I'm like, yeah, I make sure I play melee sorcerers. I like spellcaster dragon knights, like the things that she's like, no, you should be like a tank character on a dragon knight. So I do the exact opposite just to mess with her.
This is the best. This is both. This is bar. Bar one is one hand is sword and board, and bar two is resto staff. So that in itself is interesting. And then all attribute points are in health. There's nothing in stamina and nothing in magicka.
Do you find that, like, for any other person, like, that used to be the meta prior to like 1.5, which was just all health, just whatever
for tanks.
That's meta for I think everybody prior to 1.5 was just throw it in health, and I never really liked that kind of gameplay because it lends to what's the word, stupid gameplay, where it's like, oh, you just throw it in health, blah blah blah. I like being able to diversify a little bit more.
Yeah, check it all in magicka, see what happens then.
I don't want to be that squishy. I don't want to be that squishy. Asteldian, good sir, we were talking about this before the show as well. Sorcerer tank, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd probably do mine a little differently. But to be honest, if you're tanking trying to get decent hit points, you kind of got no choice but to put a lot into health. My poor character's got 57 in his health.
Here's something for you, Asteldian. Here's something I want to talk to you about. So people know, speaking from a VR14, now not everyone's VR14, I understand, but it's just easier to talk in terms of max level. VR14, endgame stuff, let's talk veteran dungeons. What is the sweet spot for health for a tank character? What should people be aiming for as a tank character to do vet dungeons and then trials, etc.?
In all honesty, for doing vet dungeons, you don't really need more than about 26,000. You can see mine's well over that, 32,000. Oh, that's because we've got the Emperor buff, which I don't usually have. So I usually sit around 30k, but it's overkill for dungeons. But as I tank most of the time anyway, I don't mind. But if you play DPS a lot, you're not going to want that much health because you want to have decent stamina as well. So yeah, 26,000 health is more than enough. In fact, hold on, my DPS hybrid tank sits on 29, but again, that's with the Emperor bonus. So he's on about 20, high 26, I think this guy's on, and he's not even max mitigation either because he's half DPS, half tank. So yeah, 26,000 hit points is plenty for vet dungeons, and probably AA and Hel Ra as well, to be honest.
Okay, all right. I know for a DPS point of view, 18k is the minimum as a VR14. They normally want you to push closer to 20, but 18 is, you need to be on your toes with 18k and go from there. So that's a thing. I wasn't sure about tanks.
20 is what I recommend for like Raxxial, especially because they're all fairly new to the raid scene. We say 20,000 because it gives you room for a bit of a mistake. But
absolutely,
if you're a high-end team, yeah, you're right. You'd be hitting just over 18,000, maybe 18,500. That'd probably be enough for you.
I tend to be okay with 18 because I can move myself, but I've been raiding for years, so I like to think of myself as more of on the upper echelon of that kind of gameplay. Maybe not the top, but near that. So I would rather push out the little bit extra DPS by moving some things out of health and kind of dealing with the less health and, get more numbers, which right now I'm not happy with, which I'll talk about later about numbers anyway. I'm kind of self-critiquing myself, and it's terrible.
It's the one problem I've got as my tank. It's like, I go into my DPS and I've got like 25,000 health. So this is ridiculous. I'm so over. So my DPS struggles because I barely even hit 20,000 stamina. So that is a bit of a frustration for me, but got to prioritize where it's important.
Right. So the thing that I really like about this is with update 6, like they really, other than sorcerers, because I'm actually right now I'm in game playing my sorcerer as well, and they don't have a lot of stamina morphs for sorcerer. But they did a lot, like that bound armor isn't, the stamina morph is awesome both for DPS and for tanking. So when you have that bound armor, oh, that is so awesome. It'll probably get you very close to capping.
The Thunderous Presence, the bound armors, I wouldn't have it on my bar, to be honest. Thundering Presence is the awesome one. That's the 5,000 odd.
Why would you not have bound armor on your bar?
For the sake of a slot on two bars, you gained 1.5% mitigation. Because it's only 900 odd armor it gives you. Not really worth it in my eyes.
Okay.
Not when I could put something else on there.
What would you put on? Like, do you have anything in your head that you would put on?
Well, if I had access to it, probably caltrops on one of the bars. If not, I'd probably go with Liquid Lightning. Why not? A bit of damage, get that going. I'd actually also go with Dark Conversion on my bar.
Dark Conversion? Okay.
Or whichever one's the one that you replace Magicka with Stamina and Health.
Oh, that's the Dark Conversion, but yeah.
Yeah, because to be honest, you throw on your Hardened Ward, you can get away with standing there for a few seconds. I mean, hell, I barely block at all in most of these dungeons because I got my shield up. Hardened Ward would do the same thing, so throw that up. If you're low health or low stamina, just stand there and use that for a few seconds and then cancel it. You can pretty much keep going because if you've got no stamina, you've got no block, that's where it gets dangerous. Mm-hmm. I basically balance on my guy. I use my magic with my shield so I don't block, so I can get my stamina back. And then when I've run out of magic, I then start blocking loads while I get my magic back. And so I'd use the same tactic with the sorcerer, to be honest.
Okay. You guys tanks hate me because I know I shouldn't be doing it, but I do, and that's stealing the shards. That's what I do. I steal those. Yeah,
to be honest, I rarely grab the shard. I usually leave it for my DPS. Although in this case, obviously, if I go low, I will take it. But I rarely. I'm a hell. I don't even use potions half time. I'm a bad player.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, we have a lot of people in chat room today. So hey, chat. I'm sorry. I'm not really paying attention to chat like I should be. I'm being terrible about this.
Can I take credit for that again? Because every time I'm here, you seem to comment on how you've got unusually high numbers of people in chat.
Yeah,
it's all Nate.
It's all Nate. So Nate just needs to be like permanent on the show. Just saying.
Or at least just
24 days a week. No, that's difficult.
That's
24
difficult.
Hours.
24 hours. Yes.
I actually just passed the 500 hours mark on my main.
500 actually. Yeah, on my main, I forget what I am. All I know is it took me almost a year. Like my birthday happened in the game. Like I got the little birthday notification, and I got the 1 year anniversary for being an ESO account, and then I hit VR 14. So it took me exactly like a year to hit VR 14.
Very nice.
Yeah, I've got about 46 days.
I
played on my main, I think, at least.
I was talking about this with Lord Obi in game. How he was saying he skips quests and stuff, like, you know, quest texts and I love this universe so much that I don't really care if I do nothing. Like the last play session I had with Thais was like, you know, I'm into endgame. Like I like raiding. I do endgame raiding, and I've been getting into that a lot more, which I'll talk about this week as well. But while I like doing that stuff, I'm perfectly happy when my wife wants to play to quest and leisurely. Our last thing was an hour and a half of walking around Evermore, just talking to people and, you know, exploring the city. Like I talk to everyone, not even the people who offer quests, because they say some interesting stuff sometimes.
They do. I've got some of my favorite screenshots are from like NPC, non-quest related NPCs.
Yeah. The one I'm thinking of most is the one in, you probably know this one, Daggerfall City. There are two people standing there by a what is it? Just like by a fence post, and you go up to talk to him, and they kind of yell at you to go away because the guy's like, "Get out of here! I'm so close to getting the female character, I don't remember her name, to come home with me and look at my antique riding crops."
I don't know that one, but there was someone like that in one of the Final Fantasy 13 games.
Well, go to Daggerfall City. You'll see two people sitting there in town, like by a fence post. You talk to him, and she's like, "Yeah, I want to, show her my antique riding crops." You talk to her, and she's like, "Get out of here! I'm so close to having him almost take me back to his place to see the antique riding crops. Oh, it's been so long since I've seen a good riding crop." I'm like, "Oh my." Oh my.
I'm on my way to Daggerfall as we speak to go and find these people.
They are right on the main section when you're walking on the road, and they're right there. They are hilarious and insanely suggestive, but they don't have any quests tied to them. None.
Not yet. My favorite one, and I'm not sure now I think about it whether it was a quest-related NPC or not, but it was an Argonian who was just lying sort of comatose on a floor complaining about having eaten a massive eel.
Yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one. It's great, but if you don't talk to the NPCs, you don't see these things. Like the story, and a lot of them, even after you've completed the quest, this is something people don't do. Like when you finish a city or whatever, you clear it, go back and talk to the people. Sometimes their dialogue changes.
Yeah, and it's good dialogue, and it's usually very complimentary if you've helped them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's what I love about the game. But we spent an hour and a half, and all we did was what most people would say, quote unquote, proper questing done. It was all just, doing whatever, right? And I love doing that.
Yeah. Not
any other MMO. Other MMOs, I've never felt that way, except for maybe Ultima Online, but that was a long time ago before anything else ever came out.
I used to do it with the Final Fantasy games, just to bring up the Final Fantasies once again.
Oh,
I did do that with
the single players or the MMOs?
Single players. Yeah, the single players.
Yeah, no, I do.
Just love talking to those people in the little villages.
Yeah.
They were great. Some of my favorite conversations in those games happened with those characters.
Exactly, and it kind of hurts me that so much of the developers' work, like the writers and stuff, goes unnoticed by so many, not just the people who spacebar through the quest, but the ambient conversations that go on around you that people ignore.
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm completely the same.
All right, well, that was a kind of huge rabbit trail, but I think the main thing we came to a conclusion that sorcerer tanks are great. Yeah. Total rabbit trail, and
was that the conclusion we came to?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll go with that.
Okay.
I think they're underrated.
I think
underestimated even.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the conclusion we came to, but the topic we just went on was so off topic that it makes no sense where we were at. So, yeah. Okay. We're going to move on to the next section, which is the Loremaster Archive. So, Nate, you and we get to talk about lore some more.
We do. I get to do one of my girly voices, which obviously I'm not going to do because I'm not going down that road again.
Okay. All right. Well, this week, the Loremaster Archive is questions for the Moth Sister. So, I guess Nate's going to be the Moth Sister on this one. That's what's going to happen. All right. This one doesn't actually have any book with it, but it has a bunch of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read these questions off. It's in today's Loremaster Archive. We are honored to talk to Moth Sister. I think that's Taryn Arminis. There we go. Taryn Arminis. She was made aware of the thirst for knowledge on the subject of Elder Scrolls, and was willing to share some of her wisdom. Please read her answers below. So that's what we are going to do. All right, first question. The only certainty regarding Elder Scrolls I have ever heard is that they hold great power and are often used for prophecy. Yet I cannot help but wonder, have there ever been any events that have contradicted the Elder Scrolls without having been foretold in another Elder Scroll? If so, how did such a phenomenon occur? Was it brought on by mortal intervention, divine intervention? If such an event has ever or has never happened, do you believe there is any such thing as true freedom, or are we all slaves to fate?
This is a good question with which to start, for answering it enables me to address some misconceptions about the Elder Scrolls that are common among the commoners. The scrolls are often described as tools of prophecy. Indeed, the Aedric prophecies is another name for them in some quarters, but the fact that the scrolls speak of future events is merely a side effect of their intrinsic nature. The scrolls tell of our future because they are woven into that future, as well as the present and the past and every other aspect of this reality we call the mundus. It is a mistake to think that events prophesied in the scrolls are fixed and unchangeable. Again and again, we in the Order of the Ancestor Moth have seen the prophecies alter as the future changes in response to the acts of mortals. Future events foretold in the scrolls may be deemed likely to occur, so likely as to seem almost certain, but no event is fixed in the scrolls until it actually happens.
Excellent. Firstly, sister, I hope you are well. I understand that the strain of being a moth cultist is tough. As a linguist, I have studied the language of Oblivion. I have taken charcoal rubbings from dolmens themselves, so naturally something has bothered me. Has anyone in your order attempted to transcribe the Elder Scrolls?
Dart C, your handwriting is quite small and hard for these cloudy eyes to see clearly. Perhaps if I hold it up to the taper just so. What's this? Stain of being a moth cultist? Is membership in the order now considered shameful? We have never received due respect, but this is too much. Oh wait, strain of being a moth cultist. I must apologize, Daughter of Hammerfell. In fact, we are under a great deal of strain these days, and it can manifest in a certain irritability. I shall try and answer your question as best I can. In fact, though every novice of the Order is warned that attempts to transcribe the scrolls are useless, every one of us tries it at some point, only to discover upon reading what we have carefully copied out that it's gibberish, utter nonsense of no meaning to anyone. The words of the Elder Scrolls must be graven upon one's soul and spirit, for they are comprehended through affinity and rapport, not calculation or cognition.
To the esteemed Theron Arminus. It seems that not even the Elder Scrolls are safe from the accursed conflict, as each faction tries to lay claim to them by conquest. The brutish legions claim that possession of the scrolls grants them various boons in combat. Surely this can be attributed purely to the good morale these soldiers find in desecrating our great bastion of knowledge, can it not? I dare not imagine that the very scrolls would deign to lend aid to profiteers that soil our land. Now, second question in here. Honored sister, first let me express my condolences over the loss of several members of your order, who I have heard were killed during the invasion of the temple by troops from the Three Alliances, who then proceeded to abscond with a number of Elder Scrolls. Following this abhorrent act of larceny, I have heard soldiers in passing mention feelings more powerful or even more resistant to damage, thanks to the benefits of the scrolls. But how do the scrolls confer such specific bonuses, particularly if only members of the Order are able to understand their contents?
I shall answer the two preceding questions together, as they are actually but two sides of the same drake. However, it will be a test of my temper, as nothing has ever been so vexing as the Alliance militiaries, if that is indeed how we pronounce it, recent appropriations of the Elder Scrolls are so infuriating. Some days I want to kill all their house cats, to show them. Soldiers. But I digress. When the generals and legates first came among us demanding custody of the Elder Scrolls, we refused, stating it was absurd to believe that possession of the scrolls would grant them any benefit, tangible or temporal. They took them away, or they took them anyway, and soon began to attribute their military fortunes, good or ill, to loss or acquisition of scrolls on the battlefield. Most of us scoffed, but one priest, Brother Euclidius Bonum, decided to investigate for himself. He subjected 1 month's history of Cyrodiilic warfare to a rigorous analysis, battles won and lost, scrolls captured and recaptured, and he found that there was a small but significant and definite correlation between military success and Elder Scroll possession on the part of the Alliance militiaries. How are we to account for this? My cat has no idea. It seems impossible that the scrolls could actually be conferring military aid upon their possessors. They are mighty artifacts, perhaps the mightiest of all, but their power is passive and descriptive, not active or prescriptive. Brother Eucylidus, who, it must be admitted, is an original thinker, theorizes that soldiers in an army possessing an Elder Scroll are open, on some unconscious level, to a collective osmotic absorption of the prophecies therein, and that insofar as the soldiers' goals all align toward triumph over their enemies, they therefore tend to collectively make choices that align with the prophecies foretold in the scroll. By swimming with the flow of history, as it were, an army with a scroll is therefore somewhat more likely to make decisions that coincide with the probability of events, which leads to a preponderance of victories. That said, his brother Eucylidus' calculations were based upon a rather small statistical sample, so it would be premature to give them the imprimatur of proof. Can't pronounce that word. The good brother feels that with enough data, say 30 or 40 more years of warfare, he should be able to arrive at some fairly reliable conclusions. I cannot say that I hope the war will last long enough to give him this data, but perhaps I am selfish.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. Moth Sister Arminus. It has been said that the Elder Scrolls can pierce the veil of time with a capital T, that they contain the prophecies of every major event on Nirn. To my knowledge, there must be a hero to meet each of those events. I wonder then, as someone who has studied the scrolls, do you know if the hero, or their soul, is bound to the Elder Scrolls? Is this hero as constant as the events and prophecies foretold by the scrolls?
Though the great events of history garner the most attention, think not that the scrolls solely commemorate acts of lasting significance. The Elder Scrolls are bound by threads of time to the warp and weft of the entire mundus, and every soul, great or otherwise, has a place therein. Many speak of heroes as if they were born great, and the key roles of history were fated to be enacted by them. But is that so? A careful study of the scrolls leads me to believe that no mortal is born great, but that a person becomes a hero by making choices and taking actions other mortals refuse. The scrolls do not select such people, but they do record and reflect their actions, and note the difference made thereby.
To be given into the care of Moth Sister Terran Arminus. I've heard the Elder Scrolls can move on their own. To what extent are they aware of their surroundings? Respectfully, regards, Rojas of Orido.
Though we in the Order who deal with the scrolls sometimes jocularly personalize them, it's a mistake to think of them as cats. As I learned in my first days in the Order when I served as scroll drudge to librarian Strumbus, if a priest wants to study an Elder Scroll, someone has to bring it to him.
Greetings, Sister Terran. I've heard, or I haven't held conversation with a member of your order in centuries, not since the one incident with the, or never mind that. It was probably before your time anyways, my dear. My question today for you is one dealing with the strange glyphs that dot the Elder Scrolls. Like and unlike mage script, these esoteric symbols seem to be associated with the constellations at one moment, with planets and at another moment, the Daedric princes in even more moments, and, which is the strangest in my opinion, all of the above at once. As we both know, these glyphs have a habit of swirling, disappearing, and outright readjusting themselves, which makes jotting them down to better understand them at an extremely hard task. Is there any insight you can give me into the mystical and perhaps outright unknown language, Sister?
Your description of the strange and even commingled runes and alphabets that comprise an Elder Scrolls text is accurate, but only for the experience of the beginning or novice reader. The more a priest of the ancestor Moth communes with the scrolls, the more legible they become, even as our vision fails and the letters grow more obscure. In fact, the symbols and characters of a scroll's text gradually take on the character of whichever language is most familiar to the reader. This makes the decay of our eyesight all the more mournful, as the loss of ability to read the scrolls feels like the death of a close friend.
All right, so that is the Loremaster Archive, Questions for a Moth Sister. Elder Scrolls.
That sister sounded a hell of a lot like me.
In what way? I'm really curious.
Oh, in the voice,
yeah.
pronunciation of words, the timbre, the accent.
Right. I love the concept of Elder Scrolls. Like the idea that they are this piece of creation that knows everything that will happen, that may happen, et cetera, but it's kind of like the way they've always been described to me as when you read them, it's like looking at 1,000 different outcomes at once, but only one of them is able to happen, unless we're talking about the Miracle in the West or the Warp in the West. So the Miracle of Peace, as it's called. In Skyrim specifically, I seem to remember dealing with a bunch of Elder Scrolls where they talk about how they foretell and how, depending on what you choose, it'll show you the outcome of everything that happens. But depending on what you choose, the scrolls may completely rewrite what they actually say. It's just a really fascinating concept in a game.
Yeah.
Asteldian, good sir, I know you're a lore nut, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. Do you have anything you want to say about this before Nate and I kind of just tear into it?
No, I just think it was great having Nate do a load of reading out. I know the ladies love to hear his voice, so it's a good way of getting the fan base up and running.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's it. Where no one's here for us, I'm just filler. Asteldian is normally not filler, but today he's filler. So
you're downgraded.
You know what though? All the while I've been walking around Daggerfall Center trying to find these people talking about riding whips. I found nothing. I found a bunch of lazy people sitting on rocks complaining about not complaining, just talking about relaxing and doing no work. And I found a house cat sitting on the side of one of the giant stone constructions, just sitting there for no reason. But I haven't found this one.
Remember correctly, I think it's down near the Tradesman Square next to the bank.
Okay,
I think that's where they are, like right next to the bank, if I remember correctly. If they're not there, they may be in Wayrest. I know it's one of the Daggerfall.
Yes, I found them. I found them.
They are.
Please go away
in
now.
Daggerfall?
I've almost got Mick aboard. Yeah, to finally ask me over to see his antique riding crops, and I don't want anything to get in the way. I really need to see a good riding crop today. Print screen.
Told you.
Excellent.
They're great, right? If you don't actually talk to people, you don't find these things out because it's not part of the game proper.
He looks a lot like, what is his name? I think he's in the DC quest lines. He's one of the knights. He's the sort of womanizer.
Oh, Darian Gautier.
Thank you. Yeah, I think he must be related to this guy because he looks a lot like him, and he's got the same sort of French surname.
Well, I think a lot of Daggerfall seems very much like the Bretons themselves. And even though they're called Bretons, which makes you think British, a lot of them tend to favor, like, even if you look at every culture, they look like a specific culture. But they favor the French, like French medieval Europe, almost exactly. Even with the names of the majority of them, is all very French in order.
Yeah, this guy, though, I mean, the fact that he's trying to seduce women and he looks like this guy and he has a similar sort of surname, he is definitely related. I've just decided.
One of my favorite quests, and it's not really spoiler, but I guess it could be, is... with Darian Gautier, you're trying to find him. I can't remember exactly why when you find him, but he's like in bed with like the captain of like the bandits or something like that. Yep. And she's like passed out and she's like, she's naked or as naked as the game can make them. And he's laying next to her, or she's laying naked in the bed and he's sitting by the fire eating some bread, and he's like, what? I was getting information.
Yeah, he's going to say, I'm doing my job.
Getting information, and this was the easiest way to get it. I'm like,
sir. That's the third zone.
You, sir. He is great.
Rivenspire, is that the zone? I think that's the area. The third faction for Daggerfall, that's where he sleeps with the boss.
Sleeps with the boss of the bandits. It's great. It's just absolutely hilarious. But see, that's what I think I like. Like, I really enjoyed the Daggerfall quest line because it felt very Game of Thronesy with like all the political intrigue, and there's a lot of lovable characters that you don't really, none of the other factions I think have. I think Ebonheart has a few. Most notably is Naryu. Of course, everyone loves the Morag Tong lady, right?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Only because everyone fancies her. Let's be honest about this.
Oh, totally.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. You know, you can now buy her outfit in the Crown Store.
Yep. Speaking of Crown Store and Nate's
really should go buy that right now.
Amazing transition. There's new stuff in the Crown Store.
I totally prepared that segue.
I know, it was like you were prepared ahead of time. That was great. I had to use it just because. Yeah, new Crown Store items are coming out, and they are mini pets. So if you haven't have enough mini pets already, there's more to get. That's right. There are 4 new mini pets coming to the Crown Store in April. According to this, I'm just looking, they will be available in-game store on April 9th. They include a Bane King pet.
They're all rubbish.
The Breville Retriever, which just looks like a golden retriever, a Scamp, and a Shoreholm Shepherd. Rubbish, apparently.
Yeah.
You don't like.
I'm not interested.
Like them?
Because we've already got dogs, and I mean the Banekin, I suppose, is interesting. But I want like one of the why the name escaping me right now? The big floating orbs in Netty.
Oh, Netches? Like a baby Netch?
Yeah. Like I'd like one of those, please.
Yeah, I agree. I think they can get quote unquote weird if they bring some of the stuff from Morrowind, like the Netches. I would love like a larva Silt Strider, the baby Silt Strider. That's right.
There's Netches in ESO.
Oh yeah, no, there are Netches. There's no Silt Striders yet because that's kind of
there's Netches in Stonefalls.
Yeah, I would love to have a baby Netch, like just like a little larva Netch. That would be great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there's new stuff. Asteldian, you sir,
If it's anything I don't care about, it's pets.
Okay.
I can't stand them. They really get on my nerves. So
Really? Okay.
more pets, yay!
I'd like a pet Naryu.
It just gets my nerves. Everyone's got them all around them. It's like, oh, just put them away. We're in a group or raid or something. Just leave them alone. Especially when they're dreamers, because you want to try and kill the damn things. Like, I just spent the last 5 minutes trying to taunt this stupid spider. Whose is it?
Right. Okay. I like
that might
pets. Like, that's always something I've liked, so it's not a big deal.
I've got the Panther.
I like the Panther. The Guar were my favorite, obviously, just because Guar are adorable.
I would just, from an RP angle, I would just like them to interact more with their surroundings. One of the weirdest things that I liked the most about Fable 2 was when you got the dog. Mm-hmm. The dog would sort of run off and find treasure and would kind of act like a dog. All that mine acts like. Mine could be dead and just tied to my waist and would still basically do the same thing it does now, albeit slightly less elegantly. It would just bounce along behind me. I would kind of like it to, run up to discover a way shrine for me maybe, or if I do /sit chair, it'll come and sit on my lap, or something like that. Run ahead of me maybe. I spend most of my time not being able to see him because he's running up behind me.
This is something that I know people were saying this in Warcraft. I hope they never do this, mind you. Battle pets or whatever, when they took the pets and did like the Pokewow kind of thing was...
Oh, you want Battletoads, don't you?
No, I don't. But what I would really, really like, and see, this may be...
Because I would.
This is fluff-related stuff, to be 100% honest, but I would like for them to tie mini pets in with the emote system. Like doing /pet or, /mini or whatever. Just do something that you can tie emotes to it, /mini pet. And your pet will like come over and let you like rub it on the head or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, like feed or treat or something like that. And the pet...
There's a lot more they could do with this. And there's a lot more that I think they should... I think putting aside whether pets are a good thing or a bad thing, the fact that you can buy additional sort of non-necessary objects in the game is there because people want to be able to personalize their experience more. So make them more, personalized, if you like, by letting them interact in different ways. If I see one person's pet, I've seen everybody's pet. So make them different in some way. And I think that, that could be interesting. It could be a good use for the Crown Store as well.
Right. Okay. I got you. I understand with that. I think that was a lot of people's major complaint in other games was mini pets did nothing. They were flavor, whatever, but they're like, why do I even want them? They do nothing. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm a collection nut, so obviously, hopefully Thais doesn't listen to this episode. I already have everything in the Crown Store because I got quite a bit of crowns, and then I bought more crowns to roll out the excess. And, so I own everything in the Crown Store already. Like, everything. Yeah. So, Zos, there you go. Major supporter right here. So, I'll probably buy these, too. I know. Crazy. So, all right. Does anyone have anything they want to say about any of the news we talked about before we move on? No? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is the discussion topic. And this week, we're going to continue with our data mined information, but we're going to talk about something that we all love or hate, if you ask Asteldian, and that's spellcrafting. I'm going to go around to each person, and I just want you to tell me love or hate. So, Nate.
Yep.
Do you love or hate spellcrafting?
Oh, well, I never particularly focused on it. I like elements of spellcrafting. I like some of the illusion stuff. I like conjuration because it can be quite useful. Personally, in Skyrim, for example, I mostly used it for defensive purposes rather than anything else. I'm not I'm not the sort of person that, really, really loves it. But yeah, I don't know. Is that impassive? Impartial? I don't know.
Some people don't think much about it. Okay. Asteldian.
Things like oak flesh, for example.
Oh, oak flesh?
Okay. That was useful.
That was useful. And we'll talk about that a little bit in just a little bit. Asteldian, love or hate?
Love the theory, hate the risk that's involved that comes into the game.
Okay. All right. I love the idea, but I hate here's the one thing I will say. I already wrote a post on this once. I want more skill points because I want to be able to do everything in the game.
Yeah.
See, I don't like alts. Like, I have alts, which I talk about, which I'm not going to talk about now because that'll paint me in a very unfriendly light. But my alts are really just banking tunes. That's what they are. They don't. I play with them just to play with other people, but I don't really focus on them. I'm not a completionist. I like doing everything on a character. But I would like to be able to learn everything on the character. And I know some people are like, well, this is a game about choice. I said, well, that's what limiting my stupid bar to five spells is. That's my choice. I can have 100 active skills, but I can only pick 5 of them. I mean, the choice is still there without me having to spend the gold to go respec to go pick up other ones, right?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I mean, I think that you can learn the skills, but how useful those skills are is different because you don't necessarily have the attribute points then to make the best use of any of them. Like, you could easily spec up, if you don't want to do crafting as such, you could spec up on all your destruction staff and things, but then you're going to have to say, well, I mean, do you really want to be a tank with only a third of the health, or do you want to be a destruction staff god but only have a third of your total points in magicka? I think you have to make too many choices like that to make it worthwhile when you could be doing something more actually useful, like crafting or what have you, that sort of thing.
Right. But I know, in my case, even when it comes to, damaging, there's a bunch of different stamina. Do I want a dual wield? Do I want a two-hand? Secondary, got bow, whatever the case may be. but why could I not switch out my gear and flip it over? Like, it may not be best in slot, but I should be able to switch it over depending on a fight, right? I mean...
Yeah. Well, you still can. I mean, I do it. You know, I actually have, you know, not a brilliant split, but I do have about 15 points in Magicka because I don't do raids and I don't particularly do PvP, so I do like the world to feel as flexible to me as possible. So I like to be able to use bits of magic and things. But I don't have anything in my retro stuff or destro stuff because it's just a waste of points for the benefit at this point, I think.
But I mean, even like we figured this out. To get every single skill in the game, okay, that's passives and everything like that. It's like 420-ish approximately points, and there's only like 320 in the game. So there's 100 points that you can't get, you know, passives and whatnot. But the thing is, even with passives, if you had a build in mind like some people do, it only takes 189 points to get every single passive in the game that includes crafting passives, and that gives you plenty of points to go, okay, I'm only ever going to use these 10 skills and still have ones left over. But I like the idea of being able to, hey, I'm in the Mages Guild, why can I not learn all the Mages Guild abilities like I could in Skyrim, right? I mean, I'm not built as a mage, and it's not really useful.
But that's the thing. It's I totally know what you're saying, but I've come to this realization within the last couple of weeks in particular, where I decided that having so many skill points put in provisioning was completely pointless because I only make the top, you know, the now Vet 10 level foods, so I know exactly which specific ingredients, pardon me, that I need. That's all I need. And the same for alchemy. I only make the triple reagent mix that's really, really useful. So I know what I need in there. And suddenly I thought, well, I'm just wasted all these skill points. So I respect the whole thing. And I really had to think very, very long and hard about the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild skills, because I thought, well, you know what? I don't need these. Like, I'm not going to use them at all. I've learned them in the past and I've mastered them, but I don't need to spend these points again here.
Sure.
And I think it is a bit of a shame, but at the same time, like, you are limited, and I only want to spend points on things I'm actually going to use.
Right. And I mean, people do that anyway. But like, talking about my alts, I've leveled alts, and I don't even really level them enough to get skill points. I moved enchanting, I moved provisioning, I moved alchemy off my main character, who I was doing it on because I enjoyed the gameplay of it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm running out of points. You know? So I'm like completely done with my points.
I think that's a really good point. That's a really, really good point, actually. If you can have an alt who is you have your professor of provisioning, you have your professor of alchemy, and who do that, like, that is actually a much, much better way to play the game in general.
Right.
Particularly now with champion system in place. Like, there's no disincentive to do that. Well, no significant one from my perspective, at least, other than time. And I think that's definitely something I now have to consider, because I have alts, and one of them, is veteran level, and I use it to play with my brother, because we wanted to quest together like you and Thais do, I suppose, and my main is far too high level for anything with him. So I have one on AD, and I should probably start one on DC at some point too, because apparently that's where everyone who I might be able to play with is actually playing. Mentioning no co-host guests,
other guests that have been on the show,
particular show. But I've sort of slightly forgotten my point, because I'm also fighting a vampire as I talk. But basically, I think that the use of alts as specialists for your crafting is a really good use for alts in the game, and I'm glad that the champion system helps me realize that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing right now to save points off my characters. But it's one of those things where, again, it's just a nitpick of mine, and there is a point to this, people. I know we're talking about spellcrafting, but there is a point to this. I don't like being forced to have to do this, which I do feel like, because you know how many skill points it takes to actually, like, I enjoy crafting, like, I really do. It's something I enjoy doing. There's a reason why I'm 9 of 9 in almost everything for research stuff. Like, I enjoy doing it, but being, like, having to move stuff off characters so I can actually be effective in the other stuff I like to do really kind of sucks. And I like playing on one character. So I would like to be able to do everything on one character. Now, the reason why I brought this up was because with the release of new skills coming out with spellcrafting, like, I wonder if they're going to give us more skill points to even, because they're going to add another skill line. Are they going to give us enough to actually learn and do all of this stuff?
Yes.
Yes?
100%. I mean, you just have to look at Craglorn to understand that that's how they're treating this. Like, new levels, new zones, new areas will come with more sky shards and therefore more skills.
New areas, I agree. But I need to bring up this particular little nugget, and that is when they released the Ledgermine skill, no points came with it. And that's an additional, 16 points?
Yeah, but that was more like an overdue change. The spellcrafting will come in as part of a DLC. It'll come in as a new zone, I reckon.
Well, I mean, the Ledgermine didn't.
No, but that was just leftovers from the fact that it should have been in from the beginning, so it was just overdue.
Okay. All right.
I think as well, just the fact that they are, just how responsive ZOS is to feedback, that if they had enough complaints, it's the kind of thing that they would address.
Okay, so everyone go complain because I need new skill points. I mean, hey, the thing is, it's still a choice, right? I mean, if I'm willing to go out and farm the 400 skill points so I can do everything on one character, is that not my choice?
Here's my question. Do you have your 50 from PvP yet?
I'm working on it. I am working on that. I really am. I'm actually doing PvP, which I'm not super fond of. Not that I'm not super fond of it. I think it's my DSL connection that kind of makes Cyrodiil less than fun.
So, Asteldian, question for you quickly then, because I treat PvP like basically if I'm busy or if I'm doing something like this and I want to do something that's not story-based, I go to Cyrodiil and I just join whatever group is asking for help or anything, and I go and do the Sky Shards and some of the dailies and things in there. What skill points am I missing by only doing that?
Well, you gain a skill point for every single rank you gain in PvP.
There's up to 50 skill points in PvP.
So if you actually PvP and level it up, so the first few are really quick and easy to get, so there's no reason not to sort of indulge in a bit of PvP for that. Just tag along to a large group that happens to be doing something and hang around there for a while just to get a couple of ranks, and that's 2 easy skill points, 3 easy skill points right there.
And that's my alliance rank.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, there are that's 50 skill points. That's 2 weapon trees.
Good advice. It's good advice. This is the thing, because I mean it feels weird asking what is, to me, it seems like such a basic question. 500 hours into this game, and I would consider myself, very much an expert on the game to not know how these skill points come out of PvP. But I think there are a lot of people who just do not venture into that because there's so much they want to do elsewhere.
Oh yeah.
But I'm getting to that point now that, I'm getting close to the end game stuff being the only stuff that I've got to do. Mm-hmm. So PvP is becoming much more interesting.
Yeah. Well, they give no clue to it either, to be fair. A map will go in there, do the tutorial, come on and go, oh, that tutorial gave me 2 skill points. That was nice. Well worth it. Well, actually, the tutorial didn't give you that. Yes, that you dinged, but the game doesn't bother explaining that to you. It's like, where the hell do these skill points come from? I guess they kind of figured that PvPers kind of see it as levels anyway, so maybe it made sense to them, but non-PvPers don't naturally think, oh, gain a rank, same as gaining a level. It doesn't really make the same matchup in your mind.
Right.
No, it doesn't. No. And I have a conspiracy theory ready to throw out here about skill points whenever Aggelos wants to introduce one.
For skill points?
Yeah.
I now? I guess.
All right.
That's good.
How many crowns do you think a skill point is worth?
Oh, to me, like $100. If they're saying I could buy skill points with crowns,
don't say that. They're going to put it on the crown store just for you.
I would max out my credit card on skill points.
Because this is happening. This is going to happen. Maybe not in 6 weeks, maybe not even 6 months, but at some point, in the same way that there are going to be there already are XP buffs for being an ESO Plus subscriber. The fact that they're going to have XP potions, that's already been confirmed as something that's going to happen. I think it's a sign that it might only be a small number of them. Maybe I don't know how they would implement it, but I'm pretty sure that that would class as a convenience item.
Uh-huh.
And I think that it will happen before.
To be
too
fair,
long.
I consider that less pay to win than experience potions would be.
You know what?
Because
I would too.
ultimately,
Because you're
it
still
makes no
limited
difference.
by.
Yeah, because once you've got your skills, I've got all the decent passives.
Yep.
The only thing that getting extra points does is it saves me the effort of going and respecking.
Yep, that's all it.
That's all it does. Because I could respec. I've got level 50 on everything, so I can do anything I want. I just got to go and waste my time at the shrine, and then frankly, I just can't be asked to plug the points in.
Yeah,
that's an exciting comeback. I didn't think of it in that way, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Like when I was leveling up, like Thais was always yelling at me, going, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this kind of thing over here? Why are you playing with a one-handed sword and shield? You want to play with a two-handed and a bow. That's what you want to do." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's my end game build, but I want everything leveled up." So I bought every skill, put it on, and leveled it all. Morphed everything at least once, played it, and did all that. So really, it's just a matter of, and that was my excuse as well. Well, if I want to switch it up later, I can just by respecking and going. Yeah, no, I'd do it. I can see this because say there's like 100 or 300 and some odd points, you need 100 or 400 and whatever. If they offered you like I don't know, as a convenience item, here's 100 skill points for $50 or $100 or whatever. Hey, do you want to unlock every skill in the game? Here you go. It's $100. Here's all the skill points you will need to unlock every single thing. I'd do it. I'd do it right now.
Buy them straight away. Every craft would get it, so they've got all their. They can finally get rid of all their ults and go.
Yeah,
right,
I
one,
would.
Two, do all the goddamn crafting.
I would. I absolutely.
Has the chat room mentioned this? I'm curious about other people's views on this.
Yeah, chat room. Let us know what you think about purchasing skill points. Is it something that you're interested in? Would it be something you're interested in?
And I wonder about attribute points as well. I think that's less likely, frankly, because it has such a direct, immediate effect on.
I think they would stay away from that because of
exactly.
It
feels much more like pay to win.
That would be because you would be stronger at that point. Having more skill points does nothing for you other than the fact, like you said, you don't have to waste the time going back and respecking. You can just have them all available and you can mess with your bars whenever you want. Because as I said before, I went on the skill calculator and I figured all out. If you wanted to get all the passive, it's only 189 points to get every single passive in the game. Every single one. So with given 320 approximately skill points in the game, it's like, well, you could get every passive already and then just pick the skills that you want. That's all you would have to do. So it's no real reason to not. And actually, you know what? I think I'm going to skip the spellcrafting for this week because this is a fun conversation.
Yeah, this has been quite in-depth.
This one's actually been better than the spellcrafting. So this was a change. Yeah, I don't know. I wrote on the forum saying, hey, I want more skill points just to do all this. And I got quite a few people going, I don't really care about new skill points. Some people don't. But then there's people who don't care about crafting either. I do.
Yeah, if you don't craft, it's easy as hell.
Oh yeah, if you don't craft, you can get everything. You can get absolutely
and I still have a few things.
But the crafting,
I've got everything I need.
I don't know. I mean, what is really like? I know what Zos went with this, which was we want people to make choices. But what choice is there really? If you don't do crafting, then you can get everything. Okay. Well, your choice is not to do crafting. Or you could make an alt to do your crafting, like what I've been doing. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways around it. The only way this would have actually been a choice is if you were like in Final Fantasy like 11 or 14, where they limit you to one character or whatever. That's a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, just looking at my, that's my skill thing now. So everything's leveled up. I've still got 25 spare skill points, funny enough. That's with 2 crafts taken up. But obviously 25 points wouldn't cover me taking all the other crafts.
25 points wouldn't even... it takes 22 points to max out a craft skill.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but there's usually some duds and they don't really need. But like I've got a few skill points missing that are just crap skills. And I've got one-handed, two-handed, bow, all the armor's done. Even though I've got no weapon skills for it. So I could get a destruction staff I want as well. So there's a decent amount to get, 1, 2, 3, 4 weapons done, all your armor's done, basically all the decent ones from your class. Obviously, I've got 14 points in the new thieving skills. And the guild, I've got loads in the fighter's guild, loads in the mage's guild, some in the assault. So I've got points everywhere, and I've still got 25 spare. So in reality, would having more skill points cause any kind of imbalance? Not really. I've got everything there that I need already. If there was more, great, I could indulge, because I've got level 15 all the crafts. I could indulge in actually maxing some of them out. But in terms of any big, scary choice to make, or if it's unfair for someone else, not really. It's kind of irrelevant at this point.
Yeah,
I suppose there's another angle to this, which could be that I think that one of the things that the game does very, very well is ease new players into how different some of the skills are. And to allow somebody to immediately just buy all the skills, they're not going to learn to use them in a way that is going to make it fun for them to actually be using them at all, if that makes sense.
They still have to level them up, though, even when you buy it.
We'd make a requirement.
So they'd have to learn and play with it.
Yeah, but you could always cap it anyway. So, this thing unlocks in the crown store at VR rank, whatever.
You could.
Boom, here you go.
But I'm gonna piggyback off both of your comments, because Raxxial made an awesome comment in chat about this. PvPers who care about nothing else, they can unlock every skill at rank 10 if they bought them. They could do away with the whole having to earn skill points so they could make the builds they want. They could literally just make the builds they wanted to PvP, right? And then do the thing that they care most about, which is PvPing.
That's very true. And PvP is the one guy's not getting much out of the subscription or the crown store at all. So that'll actually be something for them big time.
I mean, yeah, because there's so many skill points tied to what? PvE questing, aka the main story in each zone has like 3 or 4 per zone just for doing the quest. But for people who are like, all I want to do is PvP, and I know quite a few of them, that's like as soon as they hit 10, they're even on day 1 they came in, how long till I can PvP? You have to hit 10. They hit 10, they never left Cyrodiil. That's what people want. And the PvPers would then, they had to scrouch and, whatever, to get all their points. Because think about it, they had to, do PvE questing or whatever, or had to try to level in PvP a little bit to get enough points to make a build that's actually worthwhile.
So you're going to get the PvP pack, the Cyrodiil pack in the Crown Store, which will be things like, enough points to unlock the first tier of what you need for the alliance skills. You're going to get, maybe some armor or something that's going to make that immediate purchase, or rather, your immediate purchase of the game is going to allow you to get straight into PvP. I could see that happen.
Face is in chat. Hi, baby. How long have you been in chat?
Just quietly stalking a lurker.
Yeah, I see her in chat rooms. So that's funny. But yeah, no, I like the idea of, because the people who go, it's not really buy to win or pay to win for this, because as you said, if someone knows what skills they really want, like on my Templar is a perfect example. My Templar is a stamina Templar. If I was really gonna be objective about it, I wouldn't take any skill that doesn't do stamina, right? Like if it doesn't have a stamina morph, what do I care? It's not part of my build. I'm not going to use it. Not in all likelihood, probably not. Like the Radiant Oppression, the new execute that's based off Magicka. If I'm not Magicka, why would I want it? I mean, other than for completionist's sake of actually wanting it. There's no pay to win, and like I said, still being limited to 5 bars really limits what you can choose. Like you can't switch skills in combat, so you could have them all. It's not like, oh no, our healer died, I'll just really quickly switch to throw a heal skill in my bar. No, you have to do that all prior to the fight starting. What would it matter if we own them all? No, I don't know. That's my
interesting
thoughts.
Argument.
And I really just want to get rid of all my alts. Because it really kind of annoys me to had to level. Like I'm actually right now, as most know, I'm like a 9 of 9 crafter for a researcher. Like that took a lot of time on my main. I've actually now made a second character, leveled her up and not real high or anything, but leveled up enough to get enough skill points to get, a bunch of crafting done. And now I'm actually trying to research on her. So I have to relearn everything that I was doing originally, that I was doing because I enjoyed doing it as part of the game, which was crafting. Now I go, well, if I really want a lot of skills or be ready to do anything in a raid environment, like when someone asks me, hey, you need this specific skill for the raid, I now have to go, well, I don't have it, and I don't have any skill points. I'm actually trying to spend the months, like literally months of time that I spent researching on my main to try to do it again on an alt so I can drop and get essentially 60 skill points back. Actually, probably a little more than that. It's annoying. But
the joy of numbers.
The joy of numbers. I really, really want, all my stuff. Who is streaming, Tier Eater asked? That would be Asteldian. So. Hello. The wife is in chat.
Or do you mean who's crying incredibly hard over this conversation?
Probably my wife at this point, because she has had the same skills since like launch.
Yeah, to be fair though, I think that says something about the sorcerer. I think it's a great class, but in terms of variety, I mean, my wife's got about 80 points spare.
Right.
Just if you don't craft, there's a lot of skills in there. I mean, like on my temper, there's a few duds.
Yeah, very true. If you don't do any crafting,
actually. No, actually, sorry, she just corrected me. She does craft. She does woodworking and clothing, so she's got 2 full crafts and still about 80 points left because she's not interested in melee or tanking. So of course, Resto Destro's all her weapon points. She even has the passives in the other armors just in case she puts a couple pieces on because of Undaunted. But she's still got 80 left because by the time you've weeded out the questionable skills or what you don't need, you actually end up with a lot.
And is she Daggerfall as well?
She is, yeah. Like if you don't do pets, you don't have to waste your points in there. And it's just before you know it, you've got half the skill lines that you can just not bother with.
Right.
Which says a lot, I think, about the sorcerer. Or maybe I've just got terrible taste and understanding of what's good.
It really is. It's one of those things. The players who often say you don't need any more skill points are the players who don't do crafting, who don't care about crafting. That crafting, like, see, this is the thing that I kind of question, and I know Zos did this in order to make choices, but there are no choices really. Not really, if you think about it.
Yeah. Essentially, it's just screwing out the crafters. There's no no big choices being made here. It's just if you craft, you're unlucky. If you don't, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, even you can make a good build without if you did all the crafting, you can still make a good build and be compatible. So there's no real need to, not do crafting, even if you wanted to. It's just the people who want to do everything in one. But I had a thought here and I kind of lost it with the crafting. Why they made the change on this, like originally the change was crafting was going to have its own like progression, but they changed it at the end just to use skill points. I don't really know why they would have done that. Like, it doesn't make much sense. And I mean, the people who don't want to do crafting, they don't do it. They're not wasting anything. And some people be like, well, then everyone will be able to do everything. To be 100% honest, most of the people would be turned off by having to spend months researching. Like, the dedicated crafters, you'll still know who they are. Am I off base on this? Like, for choice? What do you guys think?
No, you're probably right. I probably exhausted my opinions on the subject, to be honest, at the moment.
Okay.
I think I forgot to put my daily pledge.
Okay.
Balls.
All right. Well, then we'll go ahead and we'll wrap this up because we don't want to just ramble on. But in my opinion, I'll close it with this for my final thoughts for this particular thing: is what will happen when everyone can do everything? Well, every other MMO in existence does that now, like Warcraft. If you're not raiding or anything like that, you still need your 2 crafts in order to get the stat bonuses, right? That's what they want. So you can get your sockets, those unique things that only if you're a crafter you can do. I guess they maybe took some of that out in the current expansion to get rid of that idea. These people probably didn't like having to craft. But why, if you don't want to craft, don't do it. But why should the people who want to craft be penalized by having to spend essentially 22 points per line, which is a lot of skill points, and then not be able to do anything combat-wise? Especially when the real choice is, do I want to do it on one character, or do I want to make an alt to do it? I mean, to be honest, it doesn't take much time. Level them up to level, 15? You'll have enough skill points to do a line, and then you can send materials to your guy, right? You don't even need to adventure them. Just send them, put them on your bank, and do it from there. But, all right. Anyone else have anything to say on that before we move on to the next part?
No, I agree. It's just pretty pointless having you have alts do the same thing.
Okay.
I think you should be able to craft pets. We'll just leave it there.
Craft mini pets. All right.
You should be able to kill pets.
Kill pets.
Breeders.
I actually like the idea of killing pets. Like literally, if someone's pet's annoying, just turn around and stab it.
I just want to breed. I want to just breed a guar with a panther and see what happens, and I want that result to be mine.
Right.
A panther guar.
All right.
Exactly.
So
a guanther.
This conversation kind of went out of nowhere at this point because we were going to talk about spellcrafting, but we got on something else, which was honestly a lot more interesting. We'll talk about spellcrafting probably next week, and go from there. But okay. As Fearsome Pigeon says in chat, just one crafting spec per alt is how he does. That's how I do it as well. Just one. I don't have to level him far, and I can just send everything to him. It works perfectly. All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is our Tales of Tamriel, where we get to talk about what we did in game this week. Now, this is going to be fun because we got a couple things. Asteldian, why don't you go ahead and go first and let us know what you did this week?
Quite a lot of PvP. I was on a mission to get myself caltrops because it is just such a ridiculously good skill. For tanking in particular, the one thing Templar lacks is any real decent CC, and if you're tanking, that thing is the bomb. You put that down, it pretty much gives you instant aggro on everything. The only hard part then is trying to survive the onslaught. Which is nice because in the past I'd always have to go through every mob, taunt. And so that's about 7 or 8 valuable seconds of mobs being all over the place. So I got my caltrops. I'm a happy man. Aside from that, did City of Ash the other day trying to get the helmet for a few of our guildies. That hasn't been going so well. We've been completing it, but no luck with the actual helmets. And selfishly, I also want another helmet because both my items are light, which is really annoying because my DPS spec can't use it because he already has 2 heavies, so I can't afford to go down to 2 lights and 2 heavies because I don't have enough medium armor on. Finally, we did another guild raid on Friday, which was Hel Ra this time.
Ooh.
Once again, the fella's impressed. Sadly, once again, we were teased by getting the mob down to the last 20-odd% and not actually quite finishing the final boss of Hel Ra either. But we had a VR7 with us as well, so he did us proud. We didn't lack for DPS. It was just a case of obviously people needing to get used to the mechanics because a lot of them hadn't been there before at all. So we were quite proud of our lads. They all came along and did a good job. And so close, just not quite succeeded, but I'm pretty confident next week we'll get Hel Ra done.
Excellent. That's awesome. That's great. That is awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're moving along with your group and that's great.
Yeah, we've got a PvP night each week and a raid night, and then hopefully probably a second raid night soon.
Ooh, okay. Second raid.
So getting busy. Yeah.
Okay. Nate, good sir. Now I'm excited to hear about what you've been doing in game and.
Well, last night I did Elden Hollow dungeon. I actually completed it for the first time, which it was an oversight on my part. I'd never actually finished and killed Bogdan. Is it Bagdan? I forget how to pronounce it. So actually killed him last night, which was very satisfying. And the other thing that I've done is that I ditched my 4K monitor, which I know will sound interesting and odd, but I did. I got rid of that. And I bought a 21.9 aspect ratio 34-inch ultra widescreen curved monitor, which is as mad as it sounds. It makes widescreen look square. It's so wide, and the screen curves, and I have it very close in front of me, so it covers a huge amount of my peripheral vision. And when if you watch a movie, even on a widescreen TV, you get those big black bars at the top and bottom. Well, the width of this screen is the width of that image in the middle. So there's no black bars if you loaded a movie that was like that, and it works perfectly on Elder Scrolls Online. So there's no UI stretching at all. You just get an ultra wide, extremely cinematic view of the entire world that curves around you. I mean, not massively curves, but just enough for it to feel when it's close to you that it's covering your peripheral vision a little bit more.
Face, if you're in chat, I want one.
I'm going to do a blog about it. That by the time this goes out for download, it will be live. If anybody wants to have a look at it at natelanxon.com/blog, or just Google Nate Lanxon blog Elder Scrolls or something, and click on the blog page, and you should find a link there, and I'll send Aggelos the link so you can put it in the show notes if he wants to.
Yeah,
and so that'll be done by 24 hours of recording this live, and it's amazing. Like, the difference it makes is amazing. Like, the fact that I had the 4K was one that I borrowed for a little while to do a review on, and I did the review, and then I needed to send it back, and I had to decide, okay, do I go and buy one of these 4K monitors that I've been using, or do I go and buy one of the super ultra wide curved things? And I bought the curved one, and that's the one I've kept, and it's amazing, and I love it.
I want one. Thais is telling me that I guess someone's watching us while we're doing this, and now they're looking at getting the game. So that's awesome. Asteldian, where were those riding crop people? This is Aggelos, and that's in Daggerfall City in the tradesman quarter, like right next to the bank. Yeah, I really wanted one of those. Like, I was looking at them because I was looking at a new monitor, because I'm using like a 39-inch, HD TV for my monitor, which is okay. I mean, it's not a gaming monitor. The refresh rate's not that great because it's not really designed for it. It's not terrible, but you're not going to get, not going to get the best out. And I've been looking at it because we've been talking about putting this out in our living room for the gaming consoles that Thais has. She was going to buy one. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm thinking about just getting a computer monitor. So maybe we just, take mine and, I get one of these actual monitors because I like using dual monitors and stuff like that. So I have this little one that I have the show notes on in the chat. And I've been looking at these monitors. Like, I was looking at the 4Ks, but I don't have the hardware currently that would really take advantage of it. Like, my hardware's a little older. Probably in the next year and a half, I'm going to look into, building a new system. But not right now. So the 4K monitor wasn't really something that I really get a lot of use out of. Plus, they are expensive as all get out. But I was looking at some of the other ones going, I'll just look for a standard monitor. And I saw these curved ones, and I'm like, oh, they look like they would be so cool in concept. And so I was really excited, and I really wanted to get one, but I didn't want to, put out the money and find out it's garbage. So
yeah, they're not garbage. It is really good. And the key is all about pixel density, because I've got two GTX 970s running in SLI, and the performance I get between this ultra wide one and the 4K one, it's not that much better with the non 4K one because of the amount of pixels that it's driving. Like, my 4K one was 28 inches at 4K. This one's 34 inches, but it's 3,440 pixels wide. So, and the 4K one was 3,800 pixels wide. So there's not a massive difference in terms of number of pixels it's driving. Okay. So, if you've got a piece, if it can handle 4K, it'll handle this, and if it wouldn't handle 4K, then it might not handle this as well.
Okay.
It just depends what settings you're setting it on.
Here's something I'm kind of curious about. Not that I can do it right now anyway, because my internet's terrible. Streaming.
I'm
what's
just
the
trying to
aspect
do this.
ratio?
That is quite literally what I'm doing right this second, is just firing up my Twitch broadcasting thing, just to see what it would look like.
I'm
see if
really
I can...
curious because Twitch only really broadcasts well in a 16:9 ratio. So if your monitor's anything like a weird shape, you have to use downscaling. So I'm kind of curious what that kind of monitor would look like in a Twitch environment.
Well, I'm going to find out.
That's awesome. And Nate, you were saying that you're using two 970s?
No,
GT
970s in SLI. Yeah,
in SLI.
GTXs.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I was looking at the Titan Black and the Titan, and I want those, but again,
overpriced.
Oh yeah. I always tell people when building hardware is to always go a generation behind the most current, because the most current's like $1,000 more expensive than like even on like CPUs and stuff. Like when the new generation CPU comes out, buy the one below it and you'll save like $800, and the benchmarks are generally not that much different. But when they're brand new, they're normally not a huge improvement, but they are a huge improvement in price. That's what I've noticed anyway. I could be wrong on that, and someone can please tell me if I am, but when I look at benchmarks, I don't think so.
I always buy a bit behind.
But all right. Yeah, I'm curious when I'm going over my Tales. Let me know how you think it looks on Twitch when you get that all figured out. I'm really kind of curious. And I'll actually also provide a link, if Nate gives it to me, to the monitor that he's using. And I'll post that in the show notes too for anyone who's interested in what he's actually doing. I mean, he'll probably put it in his blog, so maybe I'll just...
And it looks like I can stream this in super wide, at least by the looks of it.
That's awesome. I'm always really curious about that, because you do get some weird issues whenever you have irregular shaped monitors and weird resolutions and stuff like that. You always have to do a little something special in order to get it to work. Normally it's the downscaling, but downscaling, if you have to downscale too much, looks like complete rubbish. Using your British words. It does. It just looks terrible. The more downscaling you got to do, the lower the quality of your stream is.
Well, I wouldn't have thought I have to downscale that much, because I have got 156 megabit per second fiber optic to the home.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, me too.
So rub it in, why don't you? So
I would have thought it would be okay.
I got like single pair copper wire right to the house. Okay.
Dial up.
Yeah, dial up speeds, man. Don't be jealous. Don't be jelly. I know. You guys probably don't even have copper wiring in the UK anymore. Oh my goodness.
Old people do.
Oh, well, thanks. So the old people still use the rotary telephones. I think they got those. I think. Yeah. That's what happens. Great. Ooh, Aloha's in chat. Hey, Aloha, how are you? All right. So what I did this week, if you're done, I don't mean to interrupt if you're not.
Yes, I'm done. I will let you know when I have got this stream going, in case anybody wants to check it out.
Oh, yeah. I really want to see what it looks like. So my week in game has been just an amazing amalgamation of stuff. Like it's just crazy the amount of things I used, and I use that word specifically for my wife. There you go, baby. It's just been crazy what I've been doing. Like as I said earlier, Thais and I got a little bit of questing, but it wasn't anything super special. In like the hour or so that we were playing, or an hour and a half that we got to play this week together, all we did was walk around Evermore in Bangkorai and explore the city, talk to everybody, because that's what I like doing. Not even people who offer quests. Like, we pick up the quest in Evermore, but we talk to everyone. How else are you going to find the people who like to have ancient or antique riding crops, right? And that's all we did for our entire session, was just walk around Evermore and talk to people and look around the city. And Thais accidentally fired off her Destro staff while as soon as she zoned into a thing and hit a friendly NPC. And that friendly NPC then began to attack her, so she had a bounty, so I had to show her where to go to get rid of it. She was all upset. She wanted to go turn off the attack friendly players kind of thing. So I'd show her that, and then she was upset that she can't see who she can steal from anymore until she's already hidden, because they don't have that glow. I was like, yeah, well, I still never turn that off. I refuse to turn it off because I like that risk versus reward kind of gameplay. If I make a mistake and attack someone, that's awesome. You know what I mean? It's just great. I like that kind of thing. So I was very happy with that. Thais was not so happy. As you can see her in chat, stupid NPCs standing in the way of my castings. So we got to do that. So that's what we did together. Now, what I did this week is I love the ESO community. You guys are awesome, because this week alone, obviously I'm VR14 and I like to do endgame content. That's what I like doing. The hard stuff, the DSAs, the raids, the trials, all of that. That's what I like doing. I like doing that stuff. So yeah, that's what I like doing. And so many of the people have told me that, got a hold of me, like, because I was saying, hey, I'd love to do this content, but nobody, I don't have anyone to do it with, right? I got 2 messages from people today. One is, I'll give a shout out. I have to look him up here real quick as I'm in game, because I don't want to get his name wrong. Where is he at? I thought I had him on here, but I don't see him right now. Oh, Ghost Shot from Dreadlords, an EP progression guild here on the North American Mega server, sent me a message going, hey, we do training runs like on a weekly basis. Why don't we bring you along? So I actually joined them, and I went on my first Hel Ra this week.
Is he the guy who sent the YouTube on YouTube as well?
Yes, he was on YouTube
nice.
as well. Yeah. So I got to run my first training run with there. I'm trying to think how far we got. We got past the ground elemental, the earth elemental, got all the way up. Like, I was on the group that went up and had to deal with the catapults. So we made our way back down, and we were waiting on the other group to finish in the arena, but obviously the people who we were with, it was mostly a training run, so there were like 3 people in the group that had done it before and had done it a lot. So he was training everyone else, but it seems like the group that was in the arena was mostly new. I think they had like 1 or 2 people in there who knew what they were doing. But even while on TeamSpeak, they're like shouting on TeamSpeak, do not attack the Welku or whatever, attack the boss. And people were still attacking the Welku and getting kicked and dying.
Interesting.
It was interesting to watch, and we're sitting on the other side of the cage, like the cage, just looking at them, going, "Don't attack the Welku." But they continued to do so until they died, and we ran out of lives. So,
well, funny enough, when we do it, it's actually the upstairs where we have the biggest problems.
Oh, really?
Interrupt. Yeah.
But I've been raiding for a long time. They're like, we're gonna need interrupts. And I actually went back and here's that point where it'd be great if I had more skills. I actually said, you know what? I'll respec in my bow and get Venom Arrow. Like, I didn't even have bow at the time. I'm like, what I'll do is I will pick up the bow and I will respec, get bow, get Venom Arrow, and I'll handle the interrupts. So I think I was almost solely on interrupts.
Usually I try and get them to stand in, train them. Before we even start, I actually have them to stand outside, and I want them all to prove to me they know how to interrupt. You'd be amazed how many people can get to high level and have no idea how to interrupt.
Oh, well, if I'm melee as well, I'm like, yeah, I know how to bash. And that went really well. Like, it went really, really well. for our side. So that was great, and I hope to run with them some more. That was a lot of fun. I did a bunch of dungeons this week with Kip because I'm working on a new video series, which Asteldian, I know you've been helping me with as well, for videos, calling it Standing in Fire, because you know that's what I like to do, is dungeon runs and guides for different dungeons. So that will probably be out in the next couple weeks-ish, next 2 weeks or so. I have a bunch of stuff, so a few of them will be out. I'm also working on another series called our Workshop series, where we get to talk about different things in the game. Monday, I have an installing add-ons tutorial coming out. And Tuesday, I did a tutorial on how to get rid of Lua memory limit reached. So if you've been getting that, I can show you how to fix that as well. It's really simple to do, but I'm going to make you watch the video first. So that's...
Well, if you're interested, I've got my ultra-wide streaming working on Twitch.
Ooh, yeah.
So if you go to Twitch/Nate Lanxon, NateElanxon, for those listening. At the moment, at least, I am streaming on full streamy goodness.
I linked it in chat, so anyone can do it. So
Cool.
Now would be a good time to have a look, because our server's broken down again.
Oh, really? You're hitting...
So watching us is rather dull. We're just hitting mobs we can't actually hit and casting spells we can't cast.
I'm just going to just turn off all my UI and just walk around for a bit.
Yeah, so definitely check that out if you have a spare moment. Open it up in another window, and I'm really kind of curious. I'm going to look myself here when we're booting this up on my phone. I really want to see that so I can convince Thays to let me get it. So yeah, so I've been doing a lot of dungeons with Kit. We ran a bunch, and I also Raxxial, who I always run with, he's actually with me right now in game. We ran a bunch of low-level dungeons on our alt characters that we've been leveling. So we did that. Darkshade Caverns, City of... pretty much like 6 or 7 of them this week, as well as my pledges. And another little shout-out, I got a whisper last night from Shoot Your Eye Out. She's I believe she's the guild leader of one of the guilds for Elder Scrolls Off the Record. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one. But she's on Twitter as well, so shoot your eye out, check it out. She's pretty active in the community. She sent me a whisper going, hey, we need a DPS for veteran DSA. Now, I haven't even done normal DSA yet, but we went into Vet DSA last night, and we were there for probably 3 hours or something like that. And we got all the way up to turn 4 in Vet DSA. Now, no one in the group had ever done it before, other than myself, who only did it on the PTS, and I only ever got up to turn 3. So we actually beat turn 3, and this is the part we were having a good old time. We got the final boss on turn 4 down to, at the last part, I was like the last person alive, a 1% wipe. A 1% wipe, and we were out of lives. That was exciting for me because I love that kind of hard content. I love it to death, and it was fun. We were making progress ever so slowly, but we were making progress. So that leads me to like the last thing I was doing. I was working with Kip, trying to increase my DPS. If anyone here is rocking a 2-hander Templar, or even a 2-hander in general, can you please whisper me in game or chat with me a little bit? I'm having a heck of a time getting my DPS up above 8,000. And that's really not good. I mean, it's not terrible. It's like mid-range, I guess. But I should be able to pull like 12K, 12 to 14K easy based on what I'm doing, because the rotation's not really hard. From what I'm hearing, like a Wrecking Blow rotation is Wrecking Blow and then a medium attack, which is trying to weave that in. But I'm just not getting the damage. And
You'd be amazed how much gear makes a difference there, matey.
But I'm in all legendary gear, like 5 Hoondane's Rage.
5 Ravaging?
No, I'm not in 5 Ravaging yet. I've got to farm that.
So that's 600 weapon power right there when that procs. More if you've got as your template, because you've got the 6% boost, etc., etc.
Right.
You'd be amazed how much. And using ultimates, I can get 9.5, possibly towards 10k, and that's with the ravaging gear. That's with my 500s.
I'm really hoping it's just a gear related issue. Like I really am, because I legendaried all my gear, so I got like 5 Hundings on, and I'm dealing with. I think I crafted, what is the set? Ashen Grip or something like that. Only because it was like helm, shoulders, and weapons. It's like 3 set Ashen Grip. Nothing special. My jewelry is terrible. Like it's VR12 to the VR14 blues, mostly stamina reduction stuff. My weapon power is like 3,000. Like a little over 3,000 when I have Rally up. 41% crit, something along those lines. So I feel like I should be doing more damage, but I'm just not, and it's making me upset. So I know, like Asteldian, you do quite a bit. I would say more of what do we call that? A casual hardcore player.
Yeah.
That you do that more, Nate. You don't really raid, correct?
No.
Yeah. This is first world raider problems right here. My damage isn't high enough, and it kind of upsets me, because I was doing some of these other dungeons. Now again, the person I was doing it with was a Dragon Knight caster with Kip. He was pulling like 14k easy, and he was linking his damage, and I'm looking at my pathetic damage, and I was all upset. So I don't know. So if you are like a Trials raider and you roll a Templar, let me know what your build is, please, because I want to get my damage up. Obviously be competitive, but I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong exactly. I don't have caltrops yet, and I know a lot of people kind of roll with that caltrops. The anti-cavalry caltrops, like I've been looking at, what is it? The Biting Jabs or Jabs Mania build on Tamriel Foundry, as well as the Crusader build on Tamriel Foundry, trying to get those numbers up. And like I've been trying to run their build other than the Ravaging gear. Like that's the only thing I'm kind of missing is the Ravaging gear. But I mean, if the Ravaging gear is really, I can't see the gear making up almost an 8k DPS difference. Like I really can't. I could see maybe 1,000 or so, maybe a little more than that, but not an 8k difference.
What about all the extras they've got from their groups in combat prayer on and all the stuff?
Well,
all the little added extras. You'd be surprised that all mounts up.
That's true, but I mean, I was in the same group with the DK who was pulling freaking 14k, and I was in the same group as him, so I would have had all the same stuff. But I would think even without the combat prayer, like even during my Hel Ra, I wasn't pulling more than like 7 to 8k. So I should have had all those same buffs, I would think, right? No?
Yeah, I guess.
It's not like I haven't done the trial. I was working on a trial, and I still was not getting the numbers I'm really looking for. And weaving is something I think I got to do. I'm not sure if I'm getting it right. People are telling me to hold the attack for just like a half second, let it go, but I'm not. Maybe I'm just not weaving Wrecking Blow in correctly. I don't know. Some people are saying as a Templar, just use Biting Jabs and eschew Wrecking Blow altogether.
Yeah, I do that.
Well, the logic makes sense because of the burning. My cat's going crazy. I locked them out of the room. Thais isn't in the chat anymore, but I locked them out of the room, and I swear they have a little cat battering ram at the moment, and they're trying to get in. I don't know. It's just like the Burning Light proc is why I think so many Templars eschew Wrecking Blow, because it doesn't do as much damage as Wrecking Blow, but that 25% chance to deal like 3,000 magic damage is real.
It helps keep it competitive, and more important, I just hate the feel of Wrecking Blow. So
yeah,
Jabs it is.
Jabs is very nice. It's just even with Jabs, like I was following the Jabs Mania one, and maybe he can tell me if he listens to the show. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Like based on his rotation, it really is just Biting Jabs and light attacks, and I was doing that, and I was pulling barely. I think the best I got was like 9k. And I don't know if that really, I don't know.
Well, on the bright side, that's more than enough for the trials.
Yeah, I know, but I really want.
There's a principle involved, isn't there? You want
Yeah,
more.
it's principle involved, and as a player, that's what I look at. I look at it going, I can do better than this. What am I doing wrong? Like, I'm not content to be like, this is good. This is good. I'm fine with this. I don't. I want to be that damage dealer. It's like, oh yeah, look at that. That's a goal. That's a goal I set for myself, and that's what I'm working on. It's just, I need to know what I'm doing wrong. Sorry, Nate. I probably bored you like crazy with that, but
not at all. I've just been very casually walking around wherever it is I am,
right.
Ankarai, just doing a bit of widescreen capturing
That's
for my
awesome.
blog.
You'll have to do it's not loading for me. You'll have to do whatever it's called, a highlight, and I'll watch it later.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do for the blog tomorrow.
Oh, good, because I want to see it. Like, I really do. But that was actually kind of my week in game, so I do want to thank Shoot Your Eye Out and Ghost Shot for both of you guys getting with me, like, listening to the show. Thank you. And B, just, hey, remembering my name and calling me out. I had a ton of fun on both runs. And so yeah, I really appreciate those guys like reaching out to me and bringing me along, even with my in my opinions less than stellar DPS. So I'm definitely trying to up it. I just got to figure out what I'm doing wrong. So even with if I got the caltrops, which I think would help, obviously, I don't think even with Ravagers and caltrops, I don't think I should be getting like an 8K difference. I'd be amazed, but I don't think it should affect that much. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But that was my week in game. So I just found Maik the Liar too in game. That's awesome. Hey Maik, I'm going to talk to you because you're awesome. Maik learned too late that ash pits are home of dark elf ancestors. He hopes they don't mind the rain. Oh. I love Maik. You talked to him like 3 times, and he tells you different stuff. Maik learned asking Argonian if she could breathe underwater. She asked if he could see in the dark. Maik has no good answer. Oh, come back. We could talk later. I love you, Maik. You're the best. All right. So, yeah, there we go, guys. That is the end of our Tales section for this week. With Thais not here, we don't have a dramatic reading, but Asteldian, you have an add-on spotlight this week, correct?
I do, yes indeed, and now's as good a time as any. Let's see, settings, add-ons. Today we're going to look at good old Loot Drop. A delightfully simple add-on which comes up. Let's see if I can turn this open. Yep, just a nice little movable screen anywhere you want. I have mine in the bottom corner. And basically you can choose what you want to show, but essentially when I have auto loot on, everything I loot immediately turns up on this box and just skims past, because the one problem with the game it has is if you auto loot, you have no idea what you're picking up. Whereas this very simple window just shows up and just for about three seconds just reveals the items. If you've been watching the stream, you'd have seen it happen already, because every time I loot, the things appear and disappear. It also shows my experience gains and any alliance points that I might get if I was killing in Citadel or any Fighters Guild by killing undead, etc. So yeah, it just is an icon, shows you if it's exactly what the item is, whether it be green, blue. So when you see a purple item, you can get excited, stop what you're doing, have a quick look, and then carrying on. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Very simple, doesn't get in the way at all. So give it a go, even if you're a bit of an anti add-on person.
Hear that, Thais? If you're an anti-add-on person, pick it up. Right. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I actually use that add-on as well because I like. I don't know. I don't know why I do. I just like it. It's awesome. Don't know. All right, time for our guild spotlight. Asteldian, good sir.
Oh, me again. Yes, Crucio Sanctorum, a guild on the EU server for Daggerfall faction members only, I'm afraid.
Ooh.
We are still recruiting. I think we've got 26 members now, and I think we've got another one who's applied. So we're growing quite nicely. Most of us are vet level, so just be warned if you're a lower level want to join in. You're obviously welcome. Just there's just not that many of us who are under vet level. But if you're interested, do come along. We're trying to do raids. We've got once a week so far. We're planning on doing a second time, but it's all pretty casual stuff. We PvP once a week as well, and we run dungeons even more than once because an idiot doesn't pick up the daily quest first, like this one. That's how nice we are.
They will even accept my less than 8k damage.
8k is the target, but we take the guys. We know that people do less, but we're still getting to the last bosses, so it's all good.
They take the guys like me who are fine with 8k damage. So
we're a charitable guild, so
that's awesome. 8k drives me nuts. I'm so upset. Oh, cry. Okay. All right. Nate, do you have any guild you want to mention? I didn't ask before the thing, and I should have. I'm a terrible host.
I'm in the Alith Guild, which is EP, ALITH. We do all sorts of things, but I haven't prepped anything to say in particular,
that's
to be honest.
Fine. I mean, I'm sure we'll have you on the show more.
Yeah, but if you're in EP on EU server, then come join.
Excellent.
Nate needs more friends.
Yeah, I do need more friends. I really do. I really do. It's sad and lonely.
Yeah.
That's why I bought the Panther.
So you have someone always there?
Exactly. Useless, inanimate object, but...
To do more DPS than X.
Yeah.
Oh!
I can do 8k DPS, though, so it's okay.
Oh! Man. Rub it in.
All right, I can quite consistently do 8k DPS.
It might be
non-raider and the pet do better than me. I'm so...
It could be because I'm an OP Dragon Knight.
Oh, well...
So...
No, see, here's the thing, though. Dragon Knights 8k isn't the standard. They do like 20k just for being a Dragon Knight.
Well, that's the thing. I'm V10 on that one, so you know, and that's with some points in Magicka.
I see. I'm gonna go drown myself now. I'm so sad. So sad. So very sad. All right. Obviously, Wings of Fate is the community trading guild for the Dungeon Crawler Network in Tales of Tamriel. If you haven't joined, you should. We're getting kind of full though. We're at 430 members, so we have a 2-week inactivity policy. Obviously, if you are going away for more than 2 weeks, if you let us know, it's not like we'll kick you. But if you disappear, then that's what's going to happen because we need to make room for active people. So that's what we're doing there. We actually have another member. He's one of our junior staff on Wings of Fate, who is trying to get together a little bit of a PvP night for the AD faction people that are in the guild, because we are a multi-faction. We don't care what you are, even though AD does kind of stink. But he's doing an AD PvP night on Thursdays, 7:30 at night. So if you're Aldmari Dominion and feel like getting into a little bit of PvP on Thursday nights, check it out. Blackwater campaign, that's where they're doing everything. And definitely check it out. Maybe that'll be your thing, maybe it won't, but at least give it a shot. Next up, of course, as part of being a trading guild, we have a guild lottery. And this week, Asteldian, do you have that? You're up to a point where we can look at that page?
Yeah, my guildies can cover these guys, it's fine.
Okay, that's cool. Obviously, like what we do each week, this helps us earn money for our traders. We hold a guild raffle every week where anyone who donates 1,000 gold to the guild bank gets one ticket. You can buy multiple tickets if you desire, and we take all those winning, or all that pot, and the winner, we pick one random winner and they get 30% of the pot. The rest goes towards us purchasing guild traders. This week, as of the end of the show, we had raised 114,000 gold. which is our largest raffle again to date. So the winner will be walking away with a little over 34k gold. So we have it all in a spreadsheet, which you can go check out, and we go out to that trusty random.org. Are you there, Asteldian?
Yep, okay. I'm there.
The numbers to put in for random.org are 2 to 115.
Yep, got them in there.
And we'll just do a random.
And the lucky number is 17.
17. And 17 is... myself.
Oh. How disappointing. Although you do have, to be fair, a lot of entries.
I do what?
You do have a lot of entries, to be fair.
Do.
I saw you down in the next
I put in like 18 entries. So.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take all that money and roll it into next week's guild raffle. So there you go, guys. Pick it up. So yeah, I'll take the money and I'll roll it into next week's guild raffle. So we'll actually already start off with a good bit. So there we go. That's what I'm going to do if I win. Roll it in. All right, guys. Remember, next week's guild raffle, it starts immediately. So get your bids in, and good luck to everyone who contributes. Of course, it helps the guild, helps us keep our trader, which I know a lot of people have been liking the trader that we have right now, which is in Sentinel. So we'll be going for that again this week. I know it's worked really well for me and several other people I've spoken to. Doesn't get a huge amount of foot traffic compared to like Mournhold or Ralkoth, but we're not up to the level of earning like 2 million gold a week to bid on those. So it does get a fair amount of traffic, so we're probably going to go for that again. So excellent. I wonder how many people are going to say fix. That's why we do it live on the show. No one yet. Okay, good. All right. Well, guys, we have an email section, which I did want to talk about one or two things. We had no new emails, and I didn't check iTunes this week, so that's my fault. So if you did, I'll check it for next week. But I had a little challenge last week for people to go listen to the Elder Lore podcast and tell me what they thought about Kim or Chim, or however you want to pronounce it, Kime, as well as the 36 lessons of Vivek. And I had quite a few people message me, more people than I thought would actually do it. So that's awesome. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and I need to get with a few of you yet to give you your rewards. So I will be doing that this week. I got to a couple people, but not everyone. So I will be doing that for you guys. But I wanted to read a couple of these comments. One of the biggest ones that I got and I really enjoyed was the guy who actually does the Elder Lore podcast came and commented on it.
No way. That's awesome.
I was excited about that. If you're big into the Elder Scrolls lore, definitely you should check out his podcast. Nate,
totally. I just point this out. I was listening to this show last week as I was doing some housework in the kitchen, and when you pointed this out and said everyone should go and listen to this, I caught myself nodding. I was like, yes, absolutely. I've also got this on my iPhone. I moved it out of podcasts. It's just in my main library. I agree. It's fantastic.
I
wish he would do more.
Oh, me too.
But one thing I'll just point out really quickly is that until at such point he does, and he should, if he's listening, it'd be fantastic, is that on the Elder Scrolls Off the Record guys do their classic Elder Scrolls nights, which is all about lore recently. Just loads and loads of lore stuff. It's really worth a listen.
I agree. The classic Elder Scrolls for Off the Record is actually my preferred show that I listen to from them now.
Yeah,
because I'm a lore nut and I miss the lore sections from Elder Scrolls Off the Record. So I've kind of been listening to Classic a lot to fill that, because I know a lot about lore, but I like hearing people talk about lore. So I love it.
They're extremely knowledgeable, and you know, I've used them a couple of their shows on occasion for inspiration for some of the ESO RP stuff that we've done, particularly with the Dunmer, not the Dunmer, the Aliads. They did a couple. They did one big one. Actually, I think it showed up as 2 parts, but it was really one episode about the Aliads. It's like 2 hours of Aliad lore that's definitely worth listening to.
Mm-hmm.
In particular.
Excellent. Oh, thank you for shouting those out. But obviously, listen to those. Go download the Elder Lore podcast and write comments on his blog. Maybe we can convince him to do more. Obviously, because that would be great. But that was a treat. But I had 2 on here that I wanted to talk about. First one I'll do is from Single Malt. He's in the guild. He's awesome. He goes, all you need to know is, and this is in parentheses, love and spear. If you've listened to 36 Lessons of Vivek, you'd get that. Thanks for the insight on Chime, whatever you want to call it. And thanks to the Elder Lore podcast for a superb job of narrating and explaining the lore. I will continue to listen to all the episodes available as well. I would suggest you offer up a guest spot to the creator of the podcast and amaze us with your knowledge of Elder Scrolls. You know, it would actually be a lot of fun. I'm gonna kind of ask Nate this on the show, so he may shoot me down. We should get together and do like a special episode, and make it like a game show, like the Elder Scrolls trivia show. And get someone to ask us questions to see who knows the most about Elder Scrolls lore. Get a couple of us lore hounds together. I don't know if that would interest you, but I actually like that idea.
It could work. I think the risk is that it is so wide at the variety of knowledge that, you could have someone who, for some reason, is deeply knowledgeable about the Redguard game.
Right.
And that alone. But I think if formatted in the right way, you could do it. We have a game show in the UK called Mastermind, that people pick their specialist topics, and they're always really, really niche, like, postage stamp designs of the 1800s, really weird stuff that they specialize in. And I've often thought, if they did that for Elder Scrolls, like, how would you even begin to come up with a question list? Because it would just be so incredibly diverse.
We would have to do episodes based on maybe like a particular lore topic and go from there. Because you're right. I mean,
you could definitely do that, or you could do it based on facts, like pick 10 facts and then have a discussion around each fact. That could also work.
That would be fun. I love the Elder Scrolls lore, and I love talking about it. So when people actually like talking about lore, I get into it like crazy.
Well, my co-hosts on ESO RP, Knights Knight and Moriel, I'm sure would be very interested in that too. Moriel knows more about lore than me. Like, I consider myself a lore nut, but I wouldn't consider myself a massive lore expert compared to those guys. Well, compared to Moriel in particular, he out-geeks me.
I'd be interested. I know I had a friend who challenged me to an Elder Scrolls lore like this before when we were out at a party or something like that. Because obviously this is funny. We're out at a party, okay, like a picnic. People are drinking and eating food, and instead of talking about what most people talk about on the party, we talk about Elder Scrolls. That's what we do.
A serious nerd party.
That was well, everyone else was like, sports teams, and we're like, so about Kime, what do you think what happened to the Dwemer? Yeah, stuff like that, and that's how nerdy I am.
Dude, please invite me to your parties.
I know, it's awesome, right? We're like drinking mead, eating steak, talking about what happened to Dwemer. It's a perfect party.
No, that sounds absolutely ideal, but I think sometimes it does depend. Like there have been, most of the time, and I hasten to say, I don't want this to sound incredibly egotistical or arrogant, but most of the time when I talk to people sort of IRL about Elder Scrolls, I know that I come across as the crazy, obsessed, he knows everything, like I know more than Bethesda sort of level of crazy lore. And yet, whenever I talk sometimes to Moriel on ESO RP or just some of the online friends I have in Elder Scrolls, I sort of want to do that sort of backing away slowly into the darkness moment of not having that deep knowledge about the specific discoveries of the Dwemer during the Second Era, but only from the perspective of the Khajiit. Like, there's some serious knowledge gaps that I have that come out in those sessions.
Oh, I know. I definitely agree with that. It's amazing when someone who picks a very specific. It's almost like the real world with Elder Scrolls lore. Like you pick a specific area. When people start talking to me, like, and I've been learning about this, like Dunmer Great Houses and stuff like that. I know it seems kind of whatever, but that's a whole branch to itself. It's like, what?
Oh yeah, and then there's and there are minor houses.
Oh yeah, it's houses. Crazy, like the amount of lore. And I mean, then if I start talking about my Nords, you know, you can go back to all their history, and then looking at it. If you look at it from a theological point of view, that's fun to do. Theology from the point of view of each specific race is amazing. Yeah. Nothing beats Dragon Cat King of Time. Just saying. All right, now the final thing we got, I wanted to read. I know this is awesome, but I wanted to read this because this is he really thought this out. This is Eve Trelia from the Guild. Awesome guy, by the way, but he wrote me a paragraph, and I wanted to read this to you guys because I think you would get a kick out of this. As I'm in combat, about ready to die, I think. No, I'm good. Oh, no, I'm all right. All right. First of all, I share your love of the Elder Scrolls or the Elder Lore podcast and can't say enough good things about the guy that produced them. They are truly an asset for anyone who loves the lore and appreciates Michael Kirkbride's masterpiece. I, too, have all the episodes on my iPhone and listen to them religiously. I do. I listen to them like audiobooks. If like I get done with audiobooks and have like, oh, I have none that I want, I'm just going to re-listen to the Elder Lore from start. It's great. You challenged to us listeners to delve into the metaphysical notion of Kim and its meaning as mentioned in the Elder Lore podcast was a pleasure and gave me an excuse to re-listen to them. I really tried to dig deep to get a grasp of its understanding and the many metaphorical facets of the lore surrounding it. The idea of Kim and its notion of power through self-enlightenment reminded me so much of Buddhist viewpoints and specifically parallels the Matrix movie mythology. As mentioned in Let's Get Metaphysical, achieving Kim is knowing that all of reality is a waking dream in the imagination of a figure known as the Godhead. And after having this realization, being able to maintain your individuality, and those who know Kim gain awesome abilities to alter reality at will. This is deep stuff, and would really be hard to conceptualize if it had not been so easily portrayed within the movie The Matrix. The protagonist, Neo, discovered his true reality by taking a journey of self-discovery leading to the identity and nature of himself and his reality, drawing power from this knowledge to do some pretty fantastic supernatural things. Like, say, possibly changing the landscape of the jungle in Cyrodiil, I'd say yes. I'd like to chime in on something. Oh, I see what you did there. Nice. I stumbled because he spelled chime capital C, capital H, capital I, capital M, lowercase e. Kind of like a play on
clever.
I looked at him like, what is he trying? Oh, I see what you're doing there. I also like to chime in on something else that got me thinking after listening to 36 Lessons of Vivek again. Through the myriad of allegory, I couldn't help but wonder about the relationship between the Chimer and the Dwemer. The timeline for the first sermon was during the Merethic era, but do we really know what these writings were actually written, when they were actually written? After the War of the First Council against the Nords, the prolonged peace and prosperity that followed afterwards, do we really know how these teachings were used prior to the Battle of Red Mountain? And that would be in the First Era, year 700 approximately. He didn't have that in there, but I did it. How did the Dwemer themselves view how they were portrayed in the lessons? After all, Vivek preaches, among many things, their doom and warns Nerevar of many threats, including those from the Dwemer. He gives birth to himself by joining with the Dwemari simulacrum of the Netchman's wife. All these references to Dwemer, I can't help but think that Vivek Vivek's lessons are either trying to drive a wedge between the two societies or act as a way to join the two by subjugation. Perhaps another off-topic discussion for your show. Love TOT, never stop. Until we meet again, my friends, stay moist. Like it. For that, Eve, I'm going to have to like upgrade your blue item to like an epic item because that was like a paragraph and a half. But I mean, there's a lot of thought in that. There's a lot of weird allegory with the 36 lessons of Vivek. Like he talks about a bunch of different stuff. He makes a lot of references to his spear, and I'm not really sure if he's being sexual with that or if he's actually being the warrior poet we all know him to be. But yeah, he makes it in several weird times, like using his spear to fight enemies and then using his spear when him and Molag Bal birth a bunch of abominations. There's a lot of weird stuff in that book, and it's definitely mind-boggling at best. So yeah, those were the comments. Sorry I had to read them, but they were awesome. They were great. I loved them. As I drive away everyone in chat with that, but it happens. All right. I guess that is the end of our show, guys. So final thoughts time. Asteldian.
Yeah, it's been a fun show. It's always great having Nate here. Would have been nice if I didn't have so many instance issues with Darkshade. Remind me never to come here again during a stream. But otherwise, yeah, it was fun listening to you lore nuts talk your stuff. It's actually, I find it entertaining. I can sit here and listen to it, no problem whatsoever. So yeah.
Nice. Nate, good sir. Well, it's always a pleasure to be here. I love it dearly. It's close to my heart. I've picked up about 100 items, 100 reagents during my wanderings around Tamriel as we've been recording. So I've got some potions to make, so that's a good use of time as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and I am going to try and level up my alliance rank as well, based on Asteldian's advice, because that's definitely something I haven't done, and it'll give me an excuse to learn more about PvP as well. So that's nice. But currently the moons are setting behind the elden tree in Grahtwood, and it looks rather beautiful on my gorgeous monitor. I'll have a blog up tomorrow.
Excellent. I'll include that blog in the show notes. So definitely check those out. It'll be worth it. And then maybe try to help me convince the Ace to let me buy one.
Oh yeah, she should let you buy one. I've bought a few things this year so far: food, shelter, water. This is definitely the next best thing on that list.
Nice. Excellent. All right. For myself, I guess, thank you for my co-host for joining me, Asteldian, Nate. You guys are wonderful. Nate, come back on the show more, because obviously whenever you're on the show, the chat room gets huge. Thank you, chat room, for showing up. Sorry I wasn't as attentive today. I really need to be, but I saw you guys really working on it, and thank you so much for coming out. That was awesome. Thank you for dealing with our lore discussion, and yeah, that's about it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and make sure you come back and tell us again what you thought of it. So have a good night, everybody.
Right. Night all. Okay.
Groovy.
You just listened to another episode of Tales of Tamriel, a Dungeon Crawler Network production. If you want to get involved, please be sure to check out our website at www.dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. Please be sure to follow us on our social media and YouTube channels. We can be found on Twitch at twitch.tv/dungeoncrawlernetwork, on Twitter at dungeoncrawlnet, and at Tales of Tamriel, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Tales of Tamriel podcast. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you next time.